Good evening. I'm Shannon Bremen for Brett Baer. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calls it a genuine breakthrough. The White House says it ends crisis to crisis budgeting. A new spending deal in the Senate would shower both the Pentagon and domestic programs with almost $300 billion above existing limits. Whether conservatives in the House will go along with it remains to be seen. And then there's Nancy Pelosi. Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel is on Capitol Hill tonight to tell us where things stand. Good evening, Mike.
Shannon, good evening. The drama is certainly not over, even after bipartisan leaders in the Senate announced agreement on a two-year budget deal.
The compromise we've reached will ensure that for the first time in years, our armed forces will have more of the resources they need to keep America safe.
The two-year budget deal provides $165 billion more for the military, $131 billion more for domestic programs, a debt ceiling increase through March 2019, disaster relief funding for hurricane and wildfire victims, keeping the government open through March 23rd.
The budget deal doesn't have everything Democrats want. It doesn't have everything Republicans want, but it has a great deal of what the American people want. After months of legislative logjams, this budget deal is a genuine breakthrough.
It does not include anything for the so-called dreamers, young people brought to this country illegally by their parents. And even though Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi was a part of the negotiations, she spent hours on the House floor demanding a promise from Speaker Ryan on DACA.
Because the package really does nothing to advance a bipartisan legislation to protect dreamers in the House. Without a commitment from Speaker Ryan, comparable to the commitment from Leader McConnell, this package cannot have my support.
A spokeswoman for House Speaker Paul Ryan says he, quote, has already repeatedly stated we intend to do a DACA and immigration reform bill, one that the president supports. At the White House, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders agreed immigration should be separate.
We've made clear that the budget deal should be a budget deal and that members of Congress like Nancy Pelosi should not hold our military hostage over a separate issue. We've laid out what we would like to see in immigration legislation, and I think it's something that Nancy Pelosi should support.
And the Secretary of Defense urged lawmakers to get it done.
In a world awash in change with increasing threats, there is no room for complacency. Failure to implement or fund the 2018 National Defense Strategy will leave us with a force that could dominate the last war, yet be irrelevant to tomorrow's security.
Yet the leader of the conservative House Freedom Caucus says he cannot back the surge in spending.
Obviously, I consider the president a close personal friend, and even if he called me and asked me to vote for this, I'm afraid the answer would still be no. At this point, I think it's fiscally irresponsible to support it.
Republican sources admit Democrats had some significant leverage on spending because they need at least 9 Democrats in order to pass a budget in the Senate. Meanwhile, on the House floor, the marathon speech continues for Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi, nearly 8 hours old. It's being called a record speech on the House floor. Shannon?
We'll see how that impacts things. Mike Emanuel live for us on the Hill. Thank you.